What's going on, everybody? chimericdream here, and welcome to episode 1 of my Let's Play series. So, if you have seen my opening stream, you probably have noticed that the title was Season 1 of my hardcore Let's Play, and honestly, I changed my mind. So, this was originally going to be a hardcore Let's Play, but once I started, I found what is a pretty amazing seed, and I really had a lot of good ideas. And frankly, let's just be a little bit honest here. I'm not really, probably ready for a Let's Play hardcore series. Okay. Got some lovebirds going on over there. But no, I died. That's it. That plain and simple. I died, and I didn't really want to give this world up. So I went in and edited the world files so that I could continue this as a regular old Let's Play, because I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and I have some ideas for the long run. So, yeah. So, you know, if you haven't seen that opening stream, you know, as you can probably tell, I am playing modded. It's not heavily modded version of Minecraft. We've got some things in here, like we've got some new mobs and some new blocks and things like that. But there aren't any real huge mechanics changes. There's no there are some new decorative blocks. There's a lot of new stuff, but there isn't a huge amount of change in terms of core mechanics of the game. So there's no tech, there's no automation. I'm not opposed to any of those things. I've really enjoyed playing things like playing with Create and stuff like that in the past. But this is the goal here is to be much more vanilla feeling. So I figure we'll start off here, and I'll give you a little tour of what I have, which, if we're being honest, is not much. In fact, you can see most of what I've done right here. I focused more on gearing up at the beginning than I did on any kind of building. So, I do have the beginnings of a little villager breeding area, and I'll show you a little bit more of this as we go. But here's the basics of this. We do have, it does flush them down into there. They don't necessarily seem thrilled about the fact that I flushed their kids down into a hole. You also seem like you're a little bit injured. Let's get you some potions at some point, huh? I don't think I have anything right now, so I'll just block that off for you. But yeah, so I've got a little bit of a starter farm right here. I don't have any. I do have some food on me. It's very basic stuff. Right? Let's turn down some sounds. Is that block sounds? Well, I can't tell because I've eaten already. Very early game farm. I've been chopping down some trees, getting some wood. I've got a little bit of, some food farm, got some wool. And then I do have probably the most complete build that I have so far is this here, which essentially more or less is calling it my villager education center. And in case you couldn't figure it out, this is where I will be bringing villagers when the output of the villager breeder is over there. Let's see if we can get through without. Hey, cool. So here's the output of the villager breeder. You can see it has been running for a little while. It is one of the first things I set up. But obviously, I have only recently finished just building this in general. I've only got 2 villagers in there so far. I do have zombie. There's one of them. I have what's your name? Bert. And over here, I think we've got, yep, we've got Ernie. So Bert and Ernie are friends helping out. Let's see. So, and then of course, you know, the brains of the system, which, you know, I'll link to the tutorial that I used. I believe it was. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. This is not my design. I will link to the person who I took this design from. But it's a very simple, very standard villager education pod. So let's come up here, and it's becoming nighttime, so I'm going to go ahead and sleep real quick. Yeah, like I said, lightly modded. Some client-side mods to help with, things like some HUDs, and I do have, as you can see in the upper right there, I've got Zero's minimap and Zero's world map installed, so we can do things like set waypoints, and then using distant horizons for being able to see a lot farther into the distance, just because I think it makes things really gorgeous. Right, and then the only other build that I've completed so far is right here. And I have a little early game XP grinder. I found one of the things that I found very, very early on was a double zombie spawner. So 2 zombie spawners really close to one another. And I'll go ahead and go into detached camera here. And so I've got 2 zombie spawners really, really close to one another. And so I decided to turn those into a little bit of a zombie grinder. And so, fairly standard design. The zombies come in, they drop into this, they get flushed up, over, and then they drop directly in front of me right there, where I'm able to kill them. So, this is more or less essentially all I have. I do have myself fairly well geared up. You can see we do have things like a backpack mod. We have trinkets to be able to have more slots, but nothing that I would consider to be truly game-breaking in terms of balance. And obviously, Minecraft it's all about flexibility and playing the game that you want to play. So, if there's anybody out there who takes offense to the way that I play, sorry, not sorry. Really. This is how I want to play the game, and this is what's fun for me, and I think that's totally fine. But let me give you a brief aerial tour of the world that we've got so far. So this is my base. I took over what used to be a bit of a village here, and yeah, I think it just has a huge amount of potential. This world spawn is a couple hundred blocks in that direction over here. Let me go ahead and turn off all of the all of the waypoints that I've got so far. But yeah, world spawn is a couple hundred blocks in that direction, and you can see, in this we have a massive Badlands area, and that leads hundreds and hundreds of blocks in that direction. We have a forest, or the exact opposite of a forest, really. There's a nice desert with a pretty good sized ocean over here. I have a small jungle not far from my base, a really big ocean past that, and just a lot of really good terrain. And when I was exploring this right when I first started as a hardcore world, I found it to be just especially this stuff right over here. Let's come down here and start to fly in this direction. This right here, I mean, there's just so much interesting stuff that we could do with this kind of landscape. You know, we've got a village here. There was a village there. This village actually, I think it's either two villages really close to one another, or it's one very big one. And I actually think it's two separate villages because there's another one right here. So there are these multiple villages, all within really close proximity to one another. This really great river leading out into a bay. And so there's so many amazing things that I think can be done with this terrain. And you know, I've always wanted to have a long-lived world where I can do, you know, tons and tons of building with, you know, lots of lore. That black bar from Distant Horizons is really bothering me. I'm gonna have to try to figure out what I can do about that. But yeah, we'll kind of try to ignore that for right now. But yeah, so that's what I've got so far. You know, some of the mods that are in the pack, you're probably noticing off to the right there in Distant Horizons. That is a sky village. So we do have sky villages in the pack. And then there's also mods like Repurpose Structures, which do things like this right here. This looks like an end city, but it's in the overworld. And I don't know why, but I just think that's one of the coolest things ever. You know, it adds a whole new set of interesting, you know, flair to a regular vanilla Minecraft world. Like why would they build like this? You know, how did they get inspiration from the end? You know, there's lots of interesting possibilities for lore. Let's get rid of boat. So yeah, so in any case, for this first episode, what I'd like to do is, you know, even though I'm fairly well geared up, I'd like to, you know, do some of the typical early game stuff. I'd like to get an actual house. It's a little bit weird to be saying that I'd like to build myself a starter house when I've got netherite gear, but that's what we're looking at. So yeah, I'd like to get myself a starter house, you know, probably something right here, and then I'd like to build to move my animals and move my crop farm, you know. And so I think, you know, some kind of early game, maybe an interesting farmhouse. In the long run, I will probably want to put some kind of keep here. So I think that this is going to be the heart of a large city someday, but you know, that doesn't mean that we can't start with a farm here. Maybe we'll tear it down at some point down the road as the city builds up around it, or maybe it'll be an interesting little oddity where you've got farmland in the heart of a medieval style metropolis. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I think I'd like to start with just building myself an actual house for me. You know, get some early game storage. I have been working on a massive storage hall that will be able to sort over 1,000 individual items, and it will be it's going to take a while to gather all of those materials, but that's something I'm not going to shoot for that in episode 1, maybe episode 20 or 30 or 40. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, so get some early game storage, get ourselves a house, and just start figuring out what we're going to do here. Start turning this into an interesting world. So yeah. So if you are here for the first time, which you probably are because I'm here for the first time, really? All right. I really Don't want to end there. There we go. Okay. So, if you're just now joining me, I hope you'll come with me and we'll have a good time. So, yeah, let's get started. I'm going to take care of these guys here, and then we'll start getting some space cleared. I'll figure out where I want to have a house, and maybe start mapping out a little bit of a design, and we'll see what we can come up with for a little bit of a starter house. So let's get cracking. Okay, and so welcome back. So I've cleared out you can see that I've cleared out the tree farm behind me, as well as I've gotten rid of most of my animals and moved a bunch of them over so that I still have a couple of each. And I think what I'd like to do now is I'm going to put my house here, I think. So I'd like to come up with some kind of design that makes use of this land here, but I'm not entirely sure. I still want to do a little bit of thinking about how I'm going to do this shape. And so my next steps, I've gone ahead and I've taken down all of the remaining infrastructure related to the village that I well took over and got rid of. So I think what I'd like to do is I'm going to do a little bit of terraforming here while I think about the overall structure of my house. So I'm going to kind of fill in some of this and bring a little bit of this down. I want to keep some of this intact, but I'd also like to have a way down, from my village up here, or from my base up here. I'd like to have some kind of path down to this lower area. So I'm going to do a little bit of terraforming. Back up here. See, this is why I need some paths. So I'm going to do a little bit of terraforming, and we'll come back and kind of see what the land looks like once I've done that, because I really like this slope here, and I'd like to continue that. I think I want to keep the cliff aspect in a couple of ways, but I still want to have, like I said, I want to have a little bit of a nicer way down to that lower area down there. So yeah, I'm gonna go do some of that, and then we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so if you look, if you look down here, I have done a fair bit of terraforming. I'm still not entirely happy with the way this looks right here, but I'm gonna keep playing with it. But I think for now I'm ready to move on. And what I'd like to do is I'm probably gonna carve out some paths for figuring out where some of the the roads between these buildings are going to wind up being, because like I said before, this is going to be a city in the long run, and I think it'll be nice to have a basic idea of where some of these roads are going to be, because that'll also help me figure out the facing of the buildings and stuff like that, and that'll also help me if I want to do a path down this direction, then that'll help me figure out the shape of this land. I want to keep this mostly as a sheer drop, but we'll kind of see what happens. I like the natural way this looks, but at the same time, it's very much out of place if this is going to be in the middle of a city. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But I think as far as terraforming, obviously you can see that I got rid of this whole land bridge that used to be right here. There used to be a lot of land right here, and I kind of tried to shape the water line a little bit to keep this river all the way out into the bay. So I did remove quite a bit there, and I think it's a good start. obviously there's going to be a whole lot more to do as I figure out some of these buildings. But yeah, I think now I'm going to start laying down some paths and figuring out where some of these buildings are going to go. So I'll check back in with you here in just a little bit. Okay, it's been a couple of days since the last clip, and I have finished designing the base that I want to build. I've been designing it in creative, and I'm not going to turn the camera around because I'm using a mod called Lightmatica to sort of project it into the world. But what I'm going to do now is I want to clear out some space and hopefully get a time lapse of clearing out that space and also building most of the structure. But I'm going to have quite a bit of materials to gather. So we're going to gather some materials first. You can see here I've got a whole ton of stuff that I'm going to need to gather up. But once I do that, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to dig out a big hole and build my first home in this world. I realize it's weird to say that since I'm wearing netherite and having elytra and everything, but you know what? Sometimes things happen out of order. So get ready and roll that time lapse. What's going on? Future chimeric dream here. So the time lapse was meant to go in this section, but I do have the footage, but unfortunately I haven't. I'm still new to editing videos, and I'm new to the replay mod, and I've been having issues getting the replay to render properly. So rather than continue to try to fight that, I'm gonna skip the time lapse for now. Unfortunately, there just won't be a time lapse of me building this house, which really stinks because I thought it was kind of fun, and I really wanted to try it out. But there'll be more opportunities in the future for me to build time lapses or to do time lapses of stuff. So yeah, I think I just want to get this video out and keep learning. So I'm gonna do that. So apologize for no time lapse, and now back to the next part of the video. Hello, and it's been another day or two since the last clip. I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. It's done, or more or less done. So here is my house. Let's get these things out of the way here. We can look at it in all of its glory. So I'm actually really proud of this. I took inspiration from, I've seen different styles of roof and building design on lots of different places in the past. I've fallen. Pro Minecrafter. But yeah, I think I'm really proud of how this turned out. I think it's a really cool looking house. And let's go take a look at the inside. You probably saw quite a bit of this in the time lapse. So I still want to do quite a bit more decorating, but I think that's going to happen over time. But this is going to be kind of an entry, just gathering space. I do have plans to put a fireplace right here, and I'm going to have probably double-sided so that there's fire here, and then a big chimney going all the way up with another fireplace on the next floor. But this will be kind of a gathering space, and I tried to have, lots of little closet-type areas where they made sense. The dining space kind of faces into the kitchen area. I haven't decided if I want to block this off so that, if you're hosting and, thought here is that, you might have wait staff who would come out and they would be able to serve each person directly without having to walk around a table or stand behind people. My son chose the color scheme, so he's the reason that we went for netherwood for the table and chairs. It's interesting, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it. I kind of like that. The kitchen is obviously very, very sparse, but I have, a couple of things here, and something that kind of looks like a meal prep area, and like a, not stainless steel, but like a marble countertop. And then in here we have a very dark pantry that I thought was lit up, but the idea here is there's going to be a pantry. I'm going to eventually fill all of these jars up with, different foods and things like that that can be stored in jars. And we'll skip downstairs for just a minute, and we'll show you. We'll save that bit for last. So I wanted to have, something that had a lot of separation, especially since, when I originally mapped out the shape of this building, it didn't seem that large, and then I started building it, and I realized that if I tried to make each of these one giant room, it wasn't going to work very well. So you come upstairs, you have a little hallway, and this is going to lead into what's going to be like a trophy room. So I have some shelving, I have several display cases. I'm probably going to put some armor stands in here. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that just yet. But yeah, I think, and then we've got another closet back here. I'm really proud of this room and kind of the way that the different colors fit together. And then here's the cartography area. This is going to be, I'm going to probably work on this in between episodes. This is going to be a 25 chunk or 25 map grid with, this house won't quite be at the center. I believe this house will be in this map here. But hopefully this will essentially this is going to wind up encompassing what I'm hoping will be the entire kind of capital city of this entire world. It's going to be a very, very long project, but then I have some spots for maps, other maps like exploration, or I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with those. And then over here, I envision this as sort of the area where the cartographer works. So I'm eventually going to fill this with black dye, and that way it'll look kind of like a jar of ink. And then, another way into the trophy room there. And then this is the primary bedroom. Nice big platform bed right here in the center of the room. A little reading nook that, we could sit in and have a good time. And again, more storage here. And since it's the main living or main bedroom area, I have crates, so a little bit more storage for sort of the master of the house. Again, like I said before, I still want to do a lot of decoration on some of this stuff. So there's a lot of room for improvement, but I think it's a really great start, and I'm really, really proud of it. And then you come upstairs into the attic area, which you can see is obviously, quite a bit run down. It's not very bright in here. I did make sure this is all lit up to prevent mob spawning. But this is also where I have my enchanting set up. And this is an effect I've seen from other players in the past, and I love the way that this looks. It makes everything look very mystical. So I have a full setup. I use deep slate to tie into the the roof of the house. And then I have several anvils. I have jars that are going to be filled with mystical looking stuff, like probably some nether wart. There'll be maybe chorus fruit. My son suggested having nether stars in one of them. So 8 stacks of nether stars are going to go in one of those jars. That's going to be a forever project. And then behind this is just tons of empty bookcases, but they're usable bookcases because they're from the mod mine Kia. So I'll actually be able to store enchanted books in here if I want, and they don't have to necessarily be used or useful books that I plan to keep, but it's a way to sort of see my progress over time. I'm going to start out with a wall of empty bookcases. I'm going to fill them up as I continue working on the world. I don't yet know what I'm going to do with the rest of the space up here. I don't know if I want to have some storage. my main storage system is going to be in the basement, and so I'll show you that in a sec. But I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with this upstairs just yet. I know that I wanted to have the enchanting set up, and I'll probably have some potion brewing on either side of this. This whole building is not going to be, tons of automation or anything like that. There's not going to be, automated potion brewing or any of that stuff. But so I'll probably have some potion brewing in here with this because it fits with the mystical nature of that nook. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas, feel free to give me a suggestion about what I can do with that. So, all right, let's head down. Oh, it's nighttime. Let's use our big giant bed. Yeah, this is my first kind of big aesthetic build. Like I said, I took a lot of design inspiration from different places, and I'll try to link some of them in the description here. But I came up with all of this. For a lot of the texturing, I did use a hammer, which is from it's from the Minecraft mod. It lets you place blocks randomly. If you've ever used Quark and you've used the trowel, is functionally the same as that tool. But just as a reminder, before we go downstairs, that all of those shulkers used to be in a bunch of chests up there, and they will be down here. I still need to put a whole bunch of item frames, but yeah, this is going to be my mid-game storage system. Eventually, I have plans for a massive, massive storage area, but this is going to be what I use for the foreseeable future. I have a very small, definitely not a super smelter, but I'll be able to drop coal into there, or fuel of some kind, and it will filter down into all of these, and then I can just, smelt anything I want at any given point. I tried to make it work with automatically dropping items in as well, but the problem there was that I couldn't get it to look very good, so that's fine. It's only a few furnaces anyway. It's not really a super smelter. I'll have one of those eventually. But yeah, so this is it. Because this took a lot longer than I was expecting it to, because I'm very new to a lot of this content creation, I'm going to go ahead and call that the episode here. And in between episodes, I'm going to get all of these items moved into the house there, into that storage system. You probably heard the zombie and the other mobs down underneath. This is not actually filled in underneath here. I just sort of put a layer of dirt. So I'll go down and I'll either fill that in or light it up or something. But I'll do that, and then I will also I had originally planned to make a small barn or something for my animals, and I'll do that in between. I probably won't make that part of the next episode. But yeah, I want to get those done in between, and yeah, then start figuring out what the next big project is going to be, and start finding ways to work towards it. So, yeah, if you liked this, if you want to support me in making more content, I really hope you'll join me for what should be an interesting ride. So, thanks, and have a great day. Bye.